Did you know over 60% of first-time clients do not return for a second visit? That is so painful, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's where Maya comes in. Maya is the ultimate marketing software for the beauty and wellness industry. We have a proprietary funnel utilizing special algorithms to help connect the right consumers with the right providers at your business. This means that Maya helps you get higher spending clients you love to work with who stay the long haul. If you want to increase your revenue, increase your client count, increase your average ticket, and increase your new client retention, then you need Maya. Go to joinmaya.com to set up your own personal virtual tour and see why over 500,000 consumers have trusted Maya and the businesses we work with to find their perfect beauty and wellness pro. We promise you will love Maya.
Like yourself, really understand how you can start planning for your future or expand on your portfolio, plan for the future, exit your business successfully, even forecast how do you have wealth for the long haul. She really wants salon owners to understand that your salon business is the largest opportunity potentially in your portfolio. And how do you optimize that? We all need this conversation. She's not a bookkeeper. She's not a CPA. So you can trust that she works well in the sandbox with all the people that are already in your court and yet brings so much value to helping us understand not just what's going to happen in the next year for our businesses, but what's going to happen to our lives 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. So without further ado, help me welcome my friend, Kristin Stutz. Welcome to Beyond the Technique.
Oh my gosh, Katie Whitledge, thank you so much. That's you said it all perfectly. That was amazing. Thank
And that's
you.
a wrap. I'm kidding.
Right?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? I will just tell you that this is a topic so needed, especially with salon owners and teams who like we have a simple IRA at our salon with a 3% company match. We did something different than a 401k. We could get into a little bit of that, but really I see this young generation like already planning for their future in a way I never even thought about. I was still partying at their age. In my 20s, I was not responsible. I think a lot of salon owners are struggling with like, oh my gosh, I'm middle-aged officially. I haven't made the plan. And so you need to be here to help educate us. But before we get into the actual money conversation, tell us about what got you into the beauty industry, why you have such a love for working with salon owners even yet today.
Yeah, love it. Thank you. So interestingly enough, I think probably I should have known when I was young that I wanted to be in the beauty industry, but I didn't really make those connections. I wasn't a Barbie doll playing girl, except for Weird Barbie in the movie was like, they were all my Barbies, man. They were all, hair was chopped off, right? Did you ever have one where you could like pull the hair out of it? It would grow again and you cut it off. Like, oh my gosh, it was the greatest thing.
Wow.
You pull her out and chop it off. That was totally me. And then when I was in high school, I would go to hair shows as a hair model for my stylist. Then shout out Sue Colby, rock star. So then I went to college for something different because, there's always that back in the day anyway, in the early 90s, there was a bit of a stigma about being a stylist. And, it was kind of your alternative pick, right? Like I went to college because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And I excelled in college in certain things. I always like to say I studied the 3 Bs, beer, booze, and boys. And I was on the dean's list, man. I rocked it. And in fact, I went for 3.5 years, and my last semester, you're gonna love this, Katie. My grade point average was a 0.666.
Oh,
My brother,
Lord.
dude, devil number, get out.
Calling the priest.
It's like, isn't that something? Yeah. So at the time, I was actually receptioning in a salon, and so I went to them and I said, listen, I'm gonna have to take a semester off because clearly I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm throwing money away. I don't know what I want to do. And they said, Kristin, we could offer you an apprenticeship and we could teach you how to do hair. And if you like it, then you've got a career for the rest of your life. And if you don't, you've still got a really great part-time job when you go back to college to finish your degree. And I was like, I don't have anything else going on. Why not? So jumped behind the chair as an apprentice and I fell in love. I just fell in love with doing hair. It was amazing. And yeah, I went on to, work in a couple of different salons and eventually decided that I wanted to open my own salon. And it was a wonderful adventure, ups and downs along the way. Right. And I had just increased my location. We had doubled our size in 2010. And I had gotten myself out from behind the chair. Just, it seems like everybody's dream once you've been an owner, right? Figure out how to get out from behind the chair. I had managed to get myself out from behind the chair, except that when we expanded, I decided I wanted to go back behind the chair a little bit because it's super fun. And I was working really long hours and not feeling the best, wasn't super healthy. And I was like, I don't know, I'm short of breath. It's because I'm working too much. I'm tired. It's holiday season. I'm overweight, all this stuff. I wasn't feeling the greatest. And we opened in August 2010 in the new location. And in August 2009 and January 2010, in a span of 2 days, I couldn't work anymore. And I landed at the Mayo Clinic and was diagnosed with leukemia and told that if I didn't immediately start treatment, I would die in a few weeks or maybe a month.
What?
You didn't know this. Yeah.
This is insane.
Yeah. So lived at the Mayo Clinic for 9 months. I had 3 rounds of chemotherapy while they looked for an anonymous donor for me. And by the grace of God and an anonymous donor who saved my life, I, 15 years later, am here and healthy. Yeah, it was in crazy times. Didn't walk into my house for 9 months. I have so many stories I could tell you that are so crazy. Did not walk back into my business for 1 year. I was out for 1 year. And yeah, it changed everything. Literally, my DNA isn't mine anymore. It changed everything. And my doctors at Mayo said, Kristin, we just don't think it's a good idea for you ever to go back behind the chair again. And which, that's what I had been shooting for anyway, right? But my life just changed. And it was no longer my desire to be a salon owner. I always joke that when you're a stylist, like people want to give you a hug every 30 to 45 minutes, right? Like, oh my gosh, you're the best. We love you. When you're just the boss, funny, the employees don't always want to hug you every 30 or 45 minutes, maybe once a day, right? But it was just different dynamics. And I knew that it was time for me to sell the business. So I sold to one of my employees about 2 years post-transplant and have always loved business. And so I kind of went down the business route. No longer a salon owner. Every once in a while, I still do a kitchen haircut. Just ask my husband. Not real good, but I still do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, crazy.
Okay. I don't even have words for what you've gone through. It's almost like you may not have made a pivot, but there was a reason. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
That you made this pivot. What made you decide to get into specifically the financial industry?
Yeah. So after I sold the salon, took me quite a while to get back to healthy. And I had been a client of Strategies coaching for a long time and became a coach for them. And then went out on the road with them and I traveled a lot, which was great at that time. I loved salon business. Absolutely. Still love it, obviously. But, I didn't survive cancer to be away from my husband and my family every, 3 weekends out of the month. And so literally, Katie, I would be sitting right here in front of this computer screen. And I'd be like, okay, God, I'm going to get faithful on here. God, you kept me here for a reason. I don't know what that reason is, but I know it's not this anymore. So what I'm asking for is, I want to be able to work from anywhere. I want to be able to make an impact. I want to be able to share my light. I want, this. I have no idea what that is. But what I know is I trust that you're going to open a door for me. And all I ask is that when that door opens, you help me see that it's the one and you help me be bold enough to walk through it. And it was probably 3 months later, I was visiting with my financial advisor at the time. And we were just talking about things we do and all that good stuff. And she said, tell me again what you do. I said, well, I help salon owners understand their numbers, help them get their businesses profitable, all that stuff. And she's like, that's kind of what I do. Have you ever thought about doing this? And I was like, no. And then I went, wait, I asked, right? And so literally it fell in my lap. And to know that I have the opportunity to take my lived experience as a stylist, as a salon owner, as someone who went through something that could have been so financially devastating and have been able to make the changes that I have made and to be able to pass that on to other people, specifically in this industry where I feel like so many people say, I'm not good with numbers or I'm not good with money. And it's such a lie. Like you can't run a business if you're not good with numbers, if you're not good with money, period. And yeah, and I just know how hard people work in this industry. And that's why I want to give it all back. You know, I feel like I'm here for a reason, and my reason is to serve. There you go. Long-winded story.
Well, it's incredible. And by the grace of God, like you said, like, thank goodness for a donor, for a new start, for this new epiphany, for everything. You do help salon owners and small business owners. And I remember just a different conversation prior to this, you saying that one of the biggest fears is shying away from, like, I don't have my act together. I don't even know how to begin to show you what my situation is. Like, what do you find when you first help owners take a look at their financial future? Like, what are some of those fears and fears? Yeah.
I would say the majority of people don't even want to have the conversation, right? Because there's so much shame that's tied with all of it. And it's so strange because I've run the gamut of seeing people who have, you know, who make many, many zeros in income a year and live, you know, paycheck to paycheck. I have seen clients who, you know, think that their portfolio is small when it's 10 times someone else's that I've seen. And they're all carrying these little bags of shame around with them saying, I'm not good enough. And it's just really shocking to me that, you know, we've all put some sort of number in our head that says this is enough, or this is the number that I'm ascribing to. And so, you know, for me, my biggest encouragement to people is, like, you got to put down that shame, and you have to be able to open yourself up to say, I'm just going to have this conversation. Because number one thing that people find out is they don't really know where they are anyway. You know, it's like, they walk in and they kind of have a box of puzzle pieces and they set the puzzle pieces down and go, I don't know how all this fits together. And that's what my job is to help people put those puzzle pieces together. You know, maybe they've got a old 401k over here and they've got a life insurance policy over here and they've got investments over there. They have and then a business, no idea how all those pieces fit together and what that even means for them. And quite frankly, you know, 5 different financial products are not a financial plan. They're just things that are sitting there. A plan puts all those pieces together. So it's seeing the shame that people come in with that is completely unwarranted, where I say, let's just put that down. I don't care where you are. I don't care about your quote unquote mistakes that, you know, you feel like you've made, because we've all made them. And we will continue to make quote unquote mistakes because we're human, right? All I want to know is, where are you? And where is it that you want to get to? Where is that dream, that goal, that vision? And let's start moving you down the road towards that goal line, right? Towards the field goal. And so that's the part that's important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would even say part of the shame are people that are like, well, I don't have any of those things yet, you know, so they're starting from scratch, which shouldn't be a shame. It's like, no matter where you're at, you can come alongside them.
Exactly.
Do you have a story of, like, somebody you came alongside and kind of the shift that was made and where they're at now and what kind of hope that they now live with?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I have so many. One of my favorites is actually a mother-daughter who owned a salon together, and I'm an advisor for both of them separately, right? And one thing that is incredibly important is you know, that we don't, it's HIPAA, right? Like, clients don't even know that you're my client unless you specifically tell them, right? There's no conversation about what someone else has or does, anything like that. And so they had both been on vacation. They owned the salon together. They'd both been on vacation. And one came to me and said, hey, I think we want to move, but like, I don't know what to do because, we own this business and but we really want to move someplace warm. And then the other one came to me a week later and said, hey, I think we want to move, but I don't know what to do because we own this business together. Neither one of them had a clue. No clue.
Oh, way.
Right. And and I couldn't say, it's the same, right? And to somehow figure out a way to help them have that conversation. Well, the cool thing is now they've sold, they've both moved, they are living their dream lives. And it's just so amazing to see, the things that they can do. And they started out, initially not having a clue where they were financially. We've been working together for years now, and now they understand their finances. They knew that they had the ability to sell. They knew that they had the ability that they could buy a house, or that they, could make a shift in their career and what that looked like. And so it's just so cool to be able to walk alongside people and see them actually be able to do the things that they say they want to do and help them to move forward. We're not stuck. We just choose not to look, which feels a lot like stuck.
Speaking of stuck, if we don't make a plan, what is our biggest threat to our future?
Oh my gosh. So many, right? And that's another reason why people don't want to look at it too. Like, you'll have so many people who have the fear of, oh my gosh, I'm so far behind, right? They don't even know what, again, behind means. I think big threats are things that are going to pop up that you don't necessarily know might derail your financial future, right? Things like not having appropriate contracts in place. So again, if you're a partner, let's say, and you don't have a buy-sell agreement in place, that could really derail you. If you, gosh forbid, you lose a spouse and there's no life insurance, those things could derail you. If you're not making a plan for retirement, or even if you are making a plan for retirement, and let's say you're doing an awesome job and saving everything in a 401k plan, you won't know it, but that's a ticking time bomb in taxes in the future. So there are all these pieces that come together, and that's the importance of a plan. This is something that frustrates me in the financial industry in general, is that there's so much information out there. General information does not work because none of us are general, right? We each have our own situations, our own circumstances. And that's the importance of putting a plan together to say, here's where I am, and these are the things that are important to me. And those things are going to switch over time. They're going to shift.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So I think one of the stressors are, if I haven't been planning, how much do I need to set aside towards retirement based on my age? So regardless, is this an age thing, or is this a longevity thing, or a combination? How do you approach it?
It's a combination. I would always say the younger you start, the better, obviously, because you can't make up for lost time, and especially in the market, right? But saving when you're early and young is super, super important. So I would encourage people right off the bat to say, put as much into your retirement savings as you possibly can. If they are able to put that in a Roth IRA, even better. Those pieces are important. The other thing that people get caught up on, and there is no magic number per se, but I see a lot of people who are, on the further backside, they're not brand new into things, and they say, well, I haven't started, it's too late. And that is not the correct answer either, right? Let's just start where you are and figure out what pieces are most important. And for some people, they may have debt, and the debt is, more important to tackle more aggressively than the savings first, just depending on their situation. But every person's situation is unique. Yeah. And I think the other important thing that people don't realize, and this is a really important one when it comes to business sales, is if that really is you have a business that's a larger piece of your portfolio, and you haven't determined, you're ready to retire, but you haven't determined how much you need to spend, how much you want to spend in your life in retirement. You don't know, A, if your savings is going to get there, or if B, what you really need to make sure you're selling your business for, right? And so how do you make your business healthy enough to get it to that number? But the missing piece often is, well, I think I'm going to stick this number on it and then I'll be fine. And I was just having a conversation with someone a few weeks ago and they said, well, I've got this much in savings. I should be okay, right? And I said, again, it depends. How much do you spend? Because if you have $1 million in savings, but you spend $200,000 a year, it's going to last you less than somebody who spends, $20,000 a year. So that's, again, the importance of figuring out what is it that you need and what is it that you want. Those pieces for younger people are much more difficult to determine because retirement's a long ways away. Right?
I know part of me thinks like the younger you are, we tend to encourage young people to say, okay, just start with like $25 or $50 a paycheck and set it aside. But should you almost get in the habit of putting more aside when you're young, because then you're used to it. It's like a set it and forget it, and you can live off of less at this point. What are your thoughts?
Yep. You have trained yourself then that saving is first and foremost, right? Versus if you're not saving now, we all have a tendency to let lifestyle creep get in the way, right? Where we get used to our paychecks getting bigger and bigger, and the bigger our paychecks get, for most of us, we're going to choose to buy a new pair of shoes because we're used to that paycheck getting bigger than saying, oh yeah, now that I'm 30, now I have to put my big girl pants on and start saving. No, we're used to that paycheck, or we have a mortgage, or we have a car payment, where now we have less, we call it elastic income, right? Where we have to have that paycheck, versus if we just started saving it right away, right off the bat, we don't get used to that money, right? And we live within our means based on what's being saved first. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, it's so probably much harder for people that have their lifestyle set.
Totally. I mean, it's like, most people's reaction when you say budget, they go, I don't want to do that, right? Like, who wants to be on a budget? Who wants to cut their expenses? No, I want more money so I can go spend more and do more fun things. Again, if you're starting saving younger, you don't feel that pressure quite as much because you're just automatically in that habit. And I would say one of the best tips and tricks for people who, whether it's in a retirement account, in their savings account, anything else like that, automate, right? Because it just happens then on an automatic basis. Divvy up, I like having very intentional buckets of money. So, you don't have to be limited to just one savings account. If you know that you want to travel, or if you know you're saving for a house, divide your paycheck up in a way that's appropriate and split that between those buckets that's important for you to save. But do it automatically so you don't even have to push the buttons on it.
It's like a digital envelope system.
Correct. I love the envelope system. Absolutely.
What does it mean to you to steward your money well?
Oof. I think it's twofold. I think stewarding your money well, certainly there's a level of responsibility that comes with that of, again, spending intentionally, saving intentionally, knowing what you really put first and foremost. I think that's a good portion of stewarding. But I also think that we often see people, they're either one side or the other. They're a spender or a saver. And both come with limitations, right? If you are an oversaver, you're going to limit yourself from having experiences, right? You're going to limit yourself from having things that you want. So is it possible to be an oversaver? As a matter of fact, yes. I know people go, what? That's crazy. And we see it a lot in retirement, actually, where retirees, they don't want to spend their retirement money. It's like, well, what did you work for? Right? And so I think, encouraging spenders to find a way to just be intentional. That to me is the most important piece of helping them understand it's not really these things over here that, you're going to the dollar store and just, blowing money on, and that the money is just falling through the holes in the bucket. It's more about being intentional and say, these are the things that I really want. This is the stuff that's really important to me. And then being able to make decisions when you're looking to spend to say, yeah, that thing over here isn't as important as the vacation that I want to go on. So I'm not going to buy that today because I'm going to put this money towards a vacation. I'll give you a good example. This was a fun one. I have a client who has been a widow for about a year. And she said, Kristin, I don't drink. I'm not a partier. I'm not, I don't eat bad, all that stuff. But when I am lonely and sad, I go to Amazon and I just buy. I buy, I buy, I buy. And that's how I deal with my grief. And I said, okay, what do you really want to do with your money? She said, I really want to travel. Okay, perfect. Here's what I want you to do. When you get that feeling and you want to go to Amazon, I want you to go. And I want you to fill up that cart. Put everything in there that you want to get, because it's going to get you the dopamine. Fill up that cart and then leave it for 2 days. 48 hours is your rule. 48 hours later, you can go back to that cart, take a screenshot, see how much you were going to spend. And then I want you to go through and buy the things that you really, really want. But then I want you to save the rest of the stuff that you didn't spend, move that right to your vacation bucket. And she said that was so liberating for her, because she literally then could choose and go, no, I don't, this isn't as important to me as my first class ticket to Europe. I want that first class ticket to Europe. Right. And so again, it's just being intentional. You don't have to have so many limitations. It doesn't have to be hard. It can actually be really fun and really empowering.
The dopamine, whatever, hit, whatever you want to call it, is a real struggle.
Totally.
I think it's the biggest struggle for consumers in America.
Yep. Yeah, it's huge. And we have to make sure that we are monitoring it. And again, it's all about intention. You can go get the dopamine hit in a million other ways. And, some people will go, well, yeah, but I'm not harming myself this way. But harming yourself financially by not being intentional, it's equally as bad as many other ways that people find them harming themselves,
Now, in the past, I've heard that traditionally, at the end of the day, any retirement plan will ultimately make you, on average, 7%. Okay, so teach me, what is the truth, and even what I'm talking about. For people who are listening are like, I don't even know what you mean.
Yeah.
Well, how do you better explain it? Because I'm not good at teaching that part.
Yeah. So, there are so many variances. I think where people get confused is there is a difference between investment and or market returns versus investor returns. Okay, so very easy comparison would be, you can have someone who is in 401k and all of their dollars in a 401k are in a money market account. I'm going to test your knowledge, Katie.
Oh, Lord.
What do you think of money market returns? Just a rough guess. Do you think it's between 1 and 5% or 10 and 20%?
I'm going to say 1 and 5.
Perfect. So if you have an investor who is in a money market versus someone who is 100% equities, who do you think is going to have a larger return?
Equity.
Right. Typically, they're going to have more bounciness, right? More up and down in the market. Typically, equities are going to return better. So the averages that we spew out there, right, are market averages versus investor averages. And that's where we really have to pay attention to say, are we invested in what's most appropriate for me because of my age, because of my risk tolerance, because of, when I need that money, right? If it's a 401k and I'm 20, well, I could be aggressive because I'm not going to touch that money until I'm, 67 years old, likely. Right? Versus if I'm saving in the stock market for a house I want to buy next year, probably shouldn't be in the stock market because we're taking risks with that money. So there's such a big difference and there's such a big variance to say, averages are just averages.
Yeah. Oh, I learned something new, and thank goodness that I got the right answers. Like, I'm not gonna. This is not an area that's my top strength of life, I'll tell you that. But
great.
I love that you do have this special thing about you that people can feel like safe in being open and transparent with you. Because if you don't have somebody at your side who can be an advocate and give you advice, then you feel like you're out on your own. Who do you trust? And so you are trustworthy. And I hope that people listening will have a conversation with you. Like, for the people listening who are like, gosh, I really should start paying attention to this for my life.
Yep.
What are those first steps with you? What does that look like?
Yeah. So initially, I just like to schedule a intro meeting where we get to meet each other and have a conversation and make sure that we are a good fit, right? Nobody wants to work with somebody that they don't trust. And likewise, I want to work with somebody that I really like as well.
Yeah.
And so we would go through that, and then we'd have another meeting after that if there was interest to go through it, where honestly, we just talk about, what are your dreams? What are your hopes? What are your goals? Believe it or not, oftentimes people haven't even thought about that. And especially if we're talking about a couple, it's amazing how often I will unearth something where the other spouse goes, wow, I never knew that was something that you had dreamt of. Right. So people will joke with me all the time, you're like half marriage counselor. No, I'm not. But again, there's so much emotion with money, right? That things come up. So we'll go through that. And then again, if there's more interest, we'll do kind of a third meeting where we do actually talk about the numbers. And I do those, no fee involved. And then from there, we would say, okay, if we're going to move into financial planning from that route, then we would talk about what the fee would look like, what the engagement would look like, what are the things that we're working on. And then if there are people who just need help, they don't necessarily need full-on planning, but they need help with investment management, or they can always place insurance products too. If that's something that would be needed, I can go down that route too. But where I feel like I really bring the greatest value is putting all those puzzle pieces together, and especially for the business owners. I love to talk tax strategy and work with people's accountants and attorneys. And there's so many tax opportunities that owners don't understand. And most accountants are amazing at looking in the rearview mirror. And there are some really great accountants who look through the windshield as well, but most of the time they're looking at what's happened in the past and not doing forward proactive planning. And there's so much to think about with taxes as far as how that impacts your financial future. And we don't always want to be just concerned about today and minimizing tax impact today if we're going to have a tax bomb later down the road.
Wow, that's huge.
It's
You don't want to be blindsided. So, and that has happened to people a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I love that you have such a pulse on all of the things. So I hope that owners listening will go to the links in our show notes so that you can connect directly with Kristin. And I promise you that you are in great hands. You're probably going to be like, I can't say the word promise, but I do. I promise that Kristin is a great person in good hands. And you know what? Your hairstylist experience is probably what makes you that marriage counselor
for sure,
without being in it, you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
That's really neat.
Totally.
What would be some final words of encouragement for owners and industry pros listening today?
I think first and foremost, number one, just put down that shame and stop saying you don't understand. And if you feel like you really don't and you need the education, please talk to somebody, right? It's critical that you really do understand your financial statements and what they mean for you, for your portfolio. And I mean your business financials, how your P&L fits together, how your balance sheet fits together, what your statement of cash flow means, and what that means to your personal financial life and your personal financial plan. And once you understand all of those things, the empowerment that you feel and the decision making that is available to you, you get to go and just put the pedal to the floor and do all the things you want to do. So just say, it's your time, right? Just be empowered. It's your time to take control of your finances, and you can do it. I believe in you.
I love that. Thank you for being here with us today and imparting your wisdom on us. I'm fired up. I feel like there's so much I need to learn even in this world and category of the different options out there. You brought up money markets and insurance and 401k and Roth IRA. And that can lead to paralysis by analysis. So I like that the number one takeaway for me is that you come alongside somebody. You are the one that needs to be relied on. It's not them. You will empower them and teach them and help them. So thank you. I think you're wonderful, and I really appreciate you being with me today.
You're the best, Katie Whitledge. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. And thank you all for joining us here week after week. If you appreciate this platform, please take a moment, leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening so that more people like yourself will discover Beyond the Technique, where we're here to change the way that you are supported in your business. Until next time, have an awesome day and stay strong.